So there's a new guy trying to do that in Africa right now. So guess what is going to happen to him? They're going to kill him. So the real reason why they killed Gaddafi is he wanted to have a currency for Africa, and he wanted Africa to unite against the exploitations of the Western world. So they had to kill him. But Burkina Faso President Ibrahim Traore, is that how you say it, announces a bold plan to unite the African continent under one system. He wants to create a United States of Africa where all African countries will come together as one. There will be one government system, one currency allowed called Afro money, and one African passport. All Africans will be able to travel freely without visas. He also said the wealth of Africa should be shared equally among all countries so no one is left behind. That's why they kill everybody. That's why they got rid of the guy, Mossadegh, when he was running Iran in 1954, because he wanted to keep the oil profits for their own people. Immediately, the CIA overthrew him.
Do you know that the Shah got thrown because the trilaterals wanted to put in the Ayatollah because the Shah minorly wasn't doing what they wanted?
Yes.
So that dictator wasn't even good enough for the other one they put in the Ayatollah. And
so the same thing. The reason why they killed Gaddafi. Under Gaddafi, Libya had the highest standard of living in all of Africa. What sealed Gaddafi's fate was his plan to create a pan-African gold-based currency to release the continent from the shackles of the petrodollar. This couldn't be tolerated by the West. The rest is history. That's why they killed him.
Well, I remember
we've covered that on this show many times. We've told you, and that's another truth that I don't think Jon Stewart will ever tell you either.
Well, he doesn't know. Do you ever see Gaddafi and Mad Dog Killer on Showtime? It was a documentary about when we kill one of these people, we make like a good, and we killed a bad man.
Yeah.
So they talked about, and they made it like he had this cuckoo idea that he was going to unite Africa under a currency.
Yeah.
And he's like a tin pot dictator.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what the petrodollar was when I saw that.
Okay.
So that's where they're laughing at the very idea of that. But that is why they kill these people.
So let's watch this.
More speculation has been raised on the reasons for NATO's intervention in Libya. And as RT's Laura Emmett reports, the organization may have been trying to prevent Gaddafi from burying the American buck.
According to some, it's about protecting civilians.
We must not tolerate this regime using military force against its own people.
Others say it's about oil.
The only reason they're interested with Libya is about the oil. You'd think we'd be in Iraq if the major export there was broccoli.
But some are convinced intervention in Libya is all about currency, specifically Gaddafi's plan to introduce the gold dinar, a single African currency made from gold, a true sharing of the wealth.
It's one of these things that you have to plan almost in secret, because as soon as you say you're going to change over from the dollar to something else, you're going to be targeted. There were two conferences on this, one in 96 and another one in the year 2000, called the World Mataba Conference, organized by Gaddafi. And everybody was interested, and I think most countries in Africa were keen.
Gaddafi didn't give up. In the months leading up to the military intervention, he called on African and Muslim nations to join together to create this new currency that would rival the dollar and euro. They would sell oil and other resources around the world only for gold dinars. It's an idea that would shift the economic balance of the world. Countries' wealth would depend on how much gold they have, not how many dollars they trade. And Libya has 144 tons of gold. The UK has double that, but 10 times the population.
If Gaddafi had an intent to try to reprice his oil or whatever else the country was selling in the global markets and accept something else as a currency, or maybe launch a gold dinar currency, any move such as that would certainly not be welcomed by the power elite today who are responsible for controlling the world's central banks. So yes, that would certainly be something that would cause his immediate dismissal and the need for other reasons to be brought forth for removing him from power.
So that's why so if you haven't watched the show before and the segments we've done on why they killed Libya or Gaddafi and overthrew Libya, that's why he was going to create a dinar, a dollar for all of Africa that would compete with the euro and the American dollar. And they can't have that. That's exactly what because that's how we control Africa, because we have the U.S. reserve currency as the reserve currency of the world. And that's why we can put sanctions on countries and things like that. And that's why there's BRICS now. And that's what he was way ahead of it, Gaddafi, trying to get off the U.S. dollar. And they stopped it, and they did it by killing him. And of course, they told everybody he was a bad person, even though his country was doing the best of any country in Africa. They had the highest standard of living. Everybody had education. Everybody had a house. Everybody had health care. Everybody had housing. Everybody had everything. And then we had to overthrow it. And now we turned it into a failed state run by terrorists, because that's better.
Burkina Faso, they got destabilized because of what we did. That's why the Burkina Faso guy is sick of us in France. That destabilized all the countries around it. That's how that guy got in there. You know that, right?
No.
Yeah, Burkina Faso is one of the directly affected nations by overthrowing Gaddafi that way. We're sick of that shit.
Just as our strength lies in unified policy and action for progress and development, so the strength of the imperialists lies in our disunity. We in Africa can only meet them effectively by presenting a unified front and a continental purpose. So that's what they don't want. That's what the West, the WEF, NATO, the United States, that's what they don't want. They don't want people just like they don't want us coming together in the United States. They don't want the countries of Africa coming together. They need to keep them fighting amongst each other so they can control them.
Like mafia. It's
like
just
the
most mafia thing I've ever heard.
On this day in 1966, the U.S. and Britain colluded in a coup that deposed Kwame Nkrumah, the first leader of independent Ghana and co-founder of a non-aligned movement, because they considered his Pan-Africanist politics to be a threat to Western interests in the region. They've been doing this since forever. This isn't new. The day will come when history will speak, but it will not be the history which will be taught in Brussels, Paris, Washington, or the United Nations. Africa will write its own history, and in both North and South, it will be the history of glory and dignity. So that was Patrice Lumumba.
He didn't last long after that.
No, after committing one of the most brutal genocides in history, Belgium partnered with the CIA to assassinate Congo's first leader, Patrice Lumumba, a brilliant Pan-Africanist who sought to unite Africa against neocolonialism. They then dissolved his body in sulfuric acid. So that's what the West does in Africa. Africa's
they do it to you. They do it to your kids too.
And now this guy is a friend of Russia. So now he's connecting with Russia, and they can't have that. Since coming to power in September 2022, after the country's second coup that year, this guy, Traoré, I think that's how you say his name, has dwelt on a rhetoric of self-reliance and independence from the West, particularly former colonial ruler France, a message that often resonates with young Africans in the diaspora. The latest Traoré frenzy reached a new peak late April with a solidarity march in the country's capital. Following an alleged coup attempt and comments by General Michael Langley, the head of U.S. military in Africa, accusing Burkina Faso leader of misusing the country's gold reserves. Of course. Following the 2022 coup that brought him to power, he promised to end the country's decades-long deadly security crisis and leverage its rich mineral resources for the benefits of its own 24 million citizens. The West can't have that. Alongside the coup-hit nations of Niger and Mali, Burkina Faso has since severed ties with the regional bloc of ECOWAS, criticized by many young Africans as representing the interest of leaders and not the citizens, as well as long-standing Western allies such as France, whose military provided security support to the government for many years to help the security crisis. Analysts and locals suggest that these factors, combined with his youth, have contributed to Traoré's appeal among young Africans. There is a growing consciousness among African youth at home and abroad that they need to do something about the continent's lack of progress. It appears Traoré has become the face of that consciousness. A senior fellow at the Senegal-based Timbuktu Institute for Peace Studies attributes the current frenzy surrounding Traoré primarily to his popularity and Russian-driven propaganda. Despite Burkina Faso's worsening security crisis, Traoré still has so much resonance and interest simply because of propaganda. In Africa, there is deep frustration with their traditional leadership. So there is polarized anger. So this is the AP trying to tell you that this guy's just being propped up, and there's nothing real about him. Still, allegations of propaganda do not adequately explain the excitement that has built up around Africa's youngest ruler, according to Chidi Akinalu, an African analyst and professor at Tufts University. Traore articulates a revolutionary message that is appealing to young populations frustrated by the thievery of what passes for democracy in their own countries. That's what's happening. So
You'll never have a leader that good in this country, ever.
We'll never have a leader that good in this country. And so watch for that guy. They're going to find a way to kill that guy and overthrow him.
Yeah, we taught everybody a lesson. Anytime we're going to get a leader that does that, well, they all around the world.
Yeah,
teach you
they
a good
did
lesson.
it to RFK. They did it to JFK. Anybody who gets on the line, okay. So that's what's happening. So now I'll see you August 3rd in Oxnard, California, and then I'll see you in Rutherford, New Jersey, and I'll see you at the Village Underground in Manhattan. Go to jimmydore.com for a
Nice.
link for tickets.